Okay, so the actual pilot episode of this show should be coming out within the next few weeks. I just kind of did this as a bit of a filler video, and, well, I thought I'd experiment a little bit, so enjoy! Hey Arnold, the movie is a pretty solid example of why TV or direct-to-video movie shouldn't always end up on the big screen. And with a TV movie coming out that was originally intended to go to theaters, I thought it was about time I actually gave this a bit of a check out. Hey Arnold was a Nicktoon about a football-headed kid getting into adventures with his friends and doing his best to help others. The long-awaited Jungle movie you've been hearing about follows Arnold and his friends going to find his long-lost parents, which in the series was an underlying mystery. What was the movie that actually went to theaters about? Some Trump-looking dick wants to tear down the neighborhood, and apparently there's a document that'll prove that the neighborhood is actually a historical landmark, so Arnold's going to go and stop it. Helga, the one who hates but also really loves Arnold's, like her dad, he's gonna start like a beeper emporium, and and apparently there's like a double crossing at some point, and there's also spies with like Bridget Lee Jones, I think that's what her name is, and Christopher Lloyd's here for 2 seconds, and yeah, you see where this movie falls apart. Hey Arnold the movie originally went into production as a 3-part movie special known as Arnold Saves the Neighborhood. Though this was the very first pitch creator Craig Bartlett did for the theatrical feature, Nickelodeon instead put this into production as a TV movie, while the Jungle movie was ordered instead, as Nickelodeon and Paramount wanted a much bigger storyline. This had been commissioned right after the Rugrats movie, and Nickelodeon sort of wanted to reprise the same success they had with that with other popular Nicktoons. Unfortunately, the Jungle movie taking so long in the scripting phase and the second Rugrats movie doing well resulted in Nick and Paramount going, can we just throw you a couple million to take the TV movie and like throw some Photoshop CS2 shading on it? Wait, what? Thanks again, Craig. Adios. I can't blame the original creators for how the movie turned out, as clearly more heart and soul was being put into the Jungle movie, and this was just meant to be sort of a 3-part episode that would have aired on TV. But yeah, well, there's good parts in this. It's kinda bad. Really, the best way to describe this is pretty much Nickelodeon's own version of Doug's first movie. You know, that direct-to-video Doug movie that they decided, hey, you know what, this looks presentable enough for theaters, let's not even bother to alter it. Let's just go right to theaters with the cheap direct-to-video animation. Except they went, okay, we need to make sure this looks good for theaters. Just, anyone got Photoshop CS2 open? Here, add layer style. There we go, that's good. That's good, that's perfect. It's essentially the same tone as that movie, except with a slightly more interesting story and a little bit more action thrown in. With that said though, this movie was kind of horribly unfocused. It felt like they were trying to tell 5 different stories and they just kind of couldn't decide on one, so they were just like, okay, where should we put this one? Where should we put that one? Should we put that part 1, part 2, part 3? Stuff like that, and the cheap animation and kind of the lack of establishment for the characters to a general audience just make the whole TV movie aspect a lot more blatant. It is kind of understandable though, considering the movie was done on a very tough deadline and was kind of rushed into theaters last minute. There's a couple of cool points, like the whole reveal scene, which apparently the advertisers thought it was a good idea to spoil in every trailer and commercial, was actually kind of good, and the climax is actually kind of cool, but other than that, it's not really something that held my interest. Some of you could probably go, well, Milan, you didn't see the original show as a kid, so what makes you think you know? Well, I actually did watch the show, and even then I'm just kind of like, wow, I feel really bad for the fans who were really excited for this movie when this came out, and the incredibly mixed reception with fans doesn't really help its case. And honestly, the Jungle movie being made now only makes the movie even more deliciously ironic when you compare that the TV movie has significantly better animation than the movie that went to theaters. But in all seriousness though, I am glad that the Jungle movie is actually being produced. I'm glad that Craig and the crew, and even the fans, some of which are even working on the movie, have actually finally got to see the movie that they've always wanted to. As for this one, this was nothing more than a bland, boring 3-part episode rushed to theaters. I would only recommend it if you're a die-hard Hey Arnold fan or just simply curious for it. At best, just kinda give it a rental. There's significantly better Nickelodeon movies you could check out, and as a TV movie, just go watch Ed and Eddie's Big Picture Show or Cat Dog: The Great Parent Mystery or something. I'm done. Goodbye.
You cannot get you